And welcome back to the Delaware Boys Dynasty Football Podcast, sponsored by Yards Per Fantasy. I am Stephen Chalmers. Twitter handle is below. Joined as always by my partner in crime, Mr. Ryan Odell. Ryan, say what's up to the people.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. The train keeps going with these mock drafts. In case you don't know, it's your first time joining in, we're compiling all of these mock drafts together into one ADP article. And we're going to try to get that going as soon as possible. We're trying to get to 10 or more by the time the draft comes around. So we're going to start knocking these things out quick. So if you're tuning in and you want to join to the next one, let us know. We can get it going. And Steve, anything else?
No, 6 mock draft that we've done so far. It's just been a lot of fun. A lot of consistency with a lot of the same people that join us and some new faces here and there. It just makes it for a good time. We love what's the word I'm looking for? We love, connecting with the community and broadening our horizons in that aspect, as we always get to do here. Like I said, new faces in here all the time, so it's always a good time for that. Without further ado, though, man, I'm not going to hold anybody up. Let's get the party rolling.
Absolutely. 2 minutes late already. Yeah, but no, it really is like crazy experiences for us, because even last year we were struggling to get these mock drafts filled, and we've had no trouble at all this year. So it's a good feeling to actually have people want to actually do these things with us, with the community that we've built in the space. But for once, I've never picked out the one spot yet. I probably won't at any point in time this year. For anybody that knows me, probably knows how I feel about Caleb Williams going to the Bears, the whole Justin Fields situation. I was very vocal about it. I'm taking a 1 overall here, though. If he is even half of what he's supposed to be, we're going to be in a good spot. Picks are flying off the board. Just for the record, we had Marvin Harrison go to the 102, Malik Nabers go to the 103. But back to Caleb Williams, he's set up for success. He's got a stellar offense. He's got Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, who's a slept-on tight end at this point. He's got DeAndre Swift in the backfield. You can say what you want about him, but he's still a serviceable running back. So all he has to do is be half of what he is.
Wow. So to recap before I make my pick,
yep,
we have Malik Nabers at the 1-3, Odunze at the 1-4, Jayden Daniels goes to the 1-5. Wow.
That's a big run of receivers there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I think the first time we've seen that type of run for receivers on any of these yet.
Yeah, it's crazy to me here that the player I never expected to get is going to be here. So, again, I was going to go Brock Bowers, but I'm going to take my QB that my flag is planted on. That'd be Mr. Drake Maye at the 1-6. The crazy part about these drafts is you don't know how this is going to play out. Once the draft capital is baked into the profile, these top 7 picks could go in any order, except for Caleb and Marvin. I think they're pretty set.
Yeah, I think Caleb and Marvin are pretty solidified. I have seen talks of Nabers at the 1-2, though. I won't lie. Now, will that be extremely rare? Absolutely. But I think it will happen. But, yeah, Brock Bowers right after you at the 1-7 there. And I think we're going to get a timeout pick here depending on how it goes. We'll see if he gets in time.
Yeah, Chew Russell usually pretty reliable here. So in saying that, I don't think this is intentional at all.
No, guys. No.
These usually go pretty quick. So
yeah, we're solid. So with I guess nothing's really fell too far out of order. We saw Odunze go at the 1-4, which is the highest we've seen yet. We've kind of seen him typically go to the 1-6, 1-8 range. At the 1-4, is that something where you're feeling comfortable with Odunze, or is that kind of like a little bit of a reach? Like that's my guy kind of pick.
Yeah, I have the 2 receivers at the top. I have Marvin and Malik, and then I have a tier break.
Right.
Everybody is sold on Odunze. I like Odunze. He is the wide receiver 3 for me in this class, but I'm not sold on the fact that he should be going above Jayden Daniels, Drake Maye, and Brock Bowers.
Mm-hmm.
If that answers your question.
Yeah.
I think Odunze at a 1-4 It depends on who's drafting at the 1-4. Some people are higher on Odunze than us.
Right. Well, that's the mystery of all these drafts, right? Like This goes to show you never really know what to expect in your rookie drafts when it comes to be that day. You could have somebody who's really high on Jayden Daniels and have Jayden Daniels go at the 1-2 and have Marvin fall to the 1-3. So something to think about.
Sam said, "I'm here and ready to go for the 110." I appreciate you being here, Sam. Thank you.
We saw an auto pick here for Brian Thomas, but I think that's probably where the pick goes anyway. So
Big Bird Jet, go Team Pig. Absolutely go Team Pig. Malik Nabers, can't go wrong, buddy. Again, as the people are starting to flow into the podcast, we appreciate you guys being here. So we don't ever want to take away from that fact. We always want you to know how grateful we are for you guys being here. So keep showing up, keep supporting us, and we're going to keep producing the content for you.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we're here. So that's all I'm here to do. If all else fails, if we can. Thanks for having me, Jeff. Thank you for joining, Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff. Thank you very much, man.
What a name, man.
Can you tell us where? Can you tell us where you got the invite from? Was it just via Twitter, or was it in like one of the Scott Fishbowl hopeful chats? Just where the invite came from. We were just curious because we get people message us all the time through different avenues of Twitter.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, nonetheless, 1-9 Troy Franklin, that's your guy. So no out of place for you, but the 1-5 off the board. Actually, Brian Thomas is the 1-4 off, but I see your 5 Troy Franklin. I think it's right where you're sitting with him as far as rankings go for us. Well, we both have him at 4. So
yeah, I have him at 4. Yeah, and my flag is planted on that. It's not moving. Troy Franklin is my guy. I've spoke highly about Troy Franklin for months now.
Yeah,
not backing off my sentiment. That's just what it's going to be. I'm gonna live or die on the hill. JJ McCarthy, by the way, wraps out our 110. So just a recap of the first round: you got Caleb at the 1-1, Marvin Harrison at the 1-2, Malik Nabers at the 1-3, Odunze 1-4, Jayden 1-5, Drake Maye 1-6, Brock Bowers 1-7, Brian Thomas 1-8, Troy Franklin 1-9, and JJ McCarthy at the 1-10.
So I get to bookmark all these rounds and start the rounds off, which is a huge change for me. So I got some juicy names probably at the top of all these rounds for once in my life. I'm not digging in the trenches in the middle of the back end of these picks. So all day here, I think the pick for me is obvious here. I'm going Xavier Worthy. I get he's, the whole John Ross thing. Like, yeah, sure, he ran a fast time, but I can't emphasize this enough. If you've been in these before, you've heard me say this before, but he and John Ross are not the same guy. He was a breakout freshman. Xavier was a breakout as a freshman at his height and weight as he was, and he continued to grow and get better. He was, well, I can't say that because he was very, very limited by QB play last year, but I think he might actually have it. The hips are fluid. Kid's super quick. So I'm excited to see what he can do in the league.
Not many kids come in as a freshman and draw a 30% target share in their offense.
Yeah.
Let's just point that out. Xavier Worthy has been dominating NCAA competition since he was a freshman. Truly, me and you are on the same page that QB play has held him back for quite some time now.
Yeah. You got Ladd McConkey go off at the 2-2.
Sam says, love the value for McCarthy at 110. I'd imagine he goes much earlier if he gets that first round capital.
For sure.
I agree with that. I think JJ, if he gets first round capital, it's going to be the 1-8 pick. And then the plethora of receivers between Brian Thomas, Troy Franklin, and Xavier Worthy are going to round out the 1-9, 110. However deep you go in your drafts, whether it's 10 teams or a 12-team league, that'll round out the first round. Yeah.
I think JJ probably, either way, in the Superflex sits kind of firmly in the top 10 at this point. Those talks he goes top 5, teams trying to trade up for him. Now, is that smoke? Maybe. Could be. But trending in the direction that he's probably going in the first 10 picks of this draft. And
name was on X is how I got into the draft.
Yep. That boy Sam was.
Thank you, man. Always a familiar and consistent face in these mock drafts. another valued member at the yards per fantasy team. Just want to say thank you.
Yep. And then 2-3, our first running back off the board, Jonathan Brooks to Team Pig. Shout out Team Pig. And now we wait. Beachhead's normally another pretty consistent guy in these, so I would imagine if he times out, he'll be back in the next round. But for the time being, as far as this draft falls, I mean, I think we point out the Odunze pick. Everything is going smoothly for you so far?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ladd McConkey, maybe a little higher than I wanted to see. I feel like that pick right there, once Brian Thomas, Troy Franklin, and Xavier Worthy go, I feel like the running backs can start being taken. Right. Whether it be Jonathan Brooks, Trey Benson, or Blake Corum, however you have them ranked. Personally, Jonathan Brooks is my 1 right now, with Benson floating closely in my 2, depending on how the ACL injury, how you view that in certain degrees. I'm not as worried about it as I was in the early pre-draft process. I've really dove into Jonathan Brooks' tape, and there's a lot of things I like on the tape. I'm very excited to see him on draft night where he gets taken and what kind of offense he's taken into and what kind of role I think he'll have.
Yeah. So I was actually looking into Jonathan Brooks more and more as days go on. I think he's a pretty interesting prospect. He did very, very well against top 20 defenses. I think he rushed for over 100 in all but one of those games against top 20 defenses, which translates well. I think if he ends up drafting in a situation like Dallas, I think you're looking at some real upside there.
Yes.
But nonetheless.
Supposedly Brooks is ahead of schedule. I read that too. They said he's about 10 months out.
Yeah.
About 10 months. It'll be close. That's the initial prognosis I heard was 10 months. Maybe a little sooner. This pick's easy for me. I've been floating around this pick as the 1-1, 1-2 of the running back position.
Yeah.
A healthy Trey Benson. You can never go wrong with taking a healthy running back when it comes to a rookie dynasty draft. Obviously, dynasty, we're playing a long-term game, so we're looking for the more valuable prospect in our eyes. I was floating between these two, and, one lands to me here. So, easy pick for me at the 2-6.
Yeah. Just to recap, the 2-4 was Michael Penix, was auto-picked. Don't know if he actually goes in that spot. 2-5 was Adonai Mitchell. And we just had 2 picks fly off the board. Keon Coleman at the 2-7 and Blake Corum at the 2-8. Blake Corum auto-drafted, but probably tends to go around that range anyway, so that's probably a safe auto.
Was it crazy to me that I really didn't consider if he came to me, I was taking running back there. Is it crazy to me to pass up on Adonai Mitchell over Trey Benson?
We kind of talked about it already. I'm not like the highest person on Odunze. If you were there at the 2-5 and you took Trey Benson, I have no problem with it. I think Trey Benson profiles as a 3-down back in the league. To be honest with you, sure, like the run blocking is not like the greatest thing in the world, and typically that's something you want for an NFL back. But the rest of the tools that he has is pretty solid. I mean, he played with Florida State, who pretty consistently have a pretty bad offensive line, and he was still pretty successful. So Trey Benson, for me, honestly, I've been a Blake Corum guy, always probably will be. But the more time goes on, the closer these 3 guys, Brooks, Benson, and Corum, get for me. So we'll see where I'm at come draft day.
Every time I spend a lot of draft capital on a back, I regret it, but it's only 2-3, right? Yeah. But this is one of the deeper classes that we're going to dive into for the year. And this is where second round, third round, and sometimes fourth round picks have value. Guys fall. This is a very deep class with a very, very from a talent perspective. And I have no problem holding all your picks in this draft. I've always loved this draft. And I can say the same thing about the 2025 class. When you flip the positions, I'm very, very excited for the running back class next year. And, of course, we have some good wide receivers in the class next year. Xavier Legette
to round out the second round. So just to recap, round 2, before I make my selection, 2-1, Xavier Worthy going on the line. 2-2, Ladd McConkey. Jonathan Brooks falls to the 2-3. Michael Penix auto-drafted to the 2-4. Odunze Mitchell to the 2-5. Trey Benson, 2-6. Not Blake Corum. Keon Coleman at the 2-7. Blake Corum, 2-8. Roman Wilson goes to 2-9. And then we had Xavier Legette round out the second round, at the 2-10. To start the third round off, I actually always preface this with a statement, but I will say that my friend Steven up here just wrote a great thread about him. I will redirect you to his Twitter at FF Chalmers right up there. Just wrote a fantastic thread about him. If you want to go check that out, it's a great read, very informational, and I think that will cover everything that I need to say about Javon Baker. But somebody that's rousing up both Steven and I's board.
Legette definitely comes with risk, but the last pick of the second, the upside is worth it. I agree with this statement. Sam, I have seriously dove into Xavier Legette's tape. And the more that I dive into it, we realize, and a lot of people don't want to talk about it, his mother and his father died during his college career. The COVID year.
Yep.
An injury-related
injury.
Mm-hmm. It's hard to not look past the late bloomer aspect of it when it comes to that part of Xavier Legette's life. We always tend to forget that life comes first and football comes second. But from an athletic standpoint and just an overall football player standpoint, from what I saw in his last year in the NCAA, I am all in on Xavier Legette. I think he does come with risk, but I think he comes with a huge ceiling, huge upside.
Yeah, one of my guys. I like Legette. I've been kind of on the train since he was like going in the back end of the thirds. He's risen up boards for sure, especially after that combine he ran. So Legette at the 210, I have no problem with. But while Steven's processing his pick, the 3-2 was Jalen Wright from Tennessee. We have Ricky Parasol go 3-3 from Florida. Braylon Allen, who's consistently falling down boards, goes to the 3-4. Bo Nix at the 3-5. And you're on the clock with 3-6.
I'm going to take another running back that I think has upside potential. I don't really see him ever making a huge impact into the league, but I was a big fan of the profile of Marshawn Lloyd. Very, very solid contact balance, very, very solid vision, plays with an uptick of burst, uptick of speed, has some receiving upside. I truly, truly like Marshawn Lloyd's profile. So if the situation is right, I think he can make an impact.
Yeah. We got some guys on the board right now that I'm surprised have not came off yet, to be honest with you. We'll see what happens at the back end of this third round, but there's some guys here that offer some pretty high upside for me, especially in this back end of the third round. At least a chance to was close between Lloyd and Pearsall. Yeah.
Yeah, Ricky Pearsall is another wide receiver that I want to dive into more. He has a phenomenal profile. He tested so well at the combine, on top of the fact that he can just run beautiful, crisp routes, in and out of breaks clean, drop fluidity, knows how to beat you in zone, knows how to beat you in man. I'm a big fan of Ricky Pearsall. I know you don't really hear about a whole lot of great things coming out of Florida nowadays outside of Anthony Richardson, but
yeah,
Ricky Pearsall is a solid wide receiver. Solid wide receiver.
Yeah, Sam knew I was going to take Javon Baker.
Yeah, you just like making my night worse. You can't.
Yeah, as if he was going to fall to the 3-6. To be fair,
you never know.
Yeah, I still think 3-1 is maybe a little rich for him, but I think he's worth a shot.
Nope, I took him at 2-9 the other night.
Man, I know, I remember. Very fresh in my mind. We did one of these at the beginning of this week, so it's all fresh, baby. We got our boy Sam kind of panicking here at the 3-9. He got sniped by an auto draft, which is always tough. It lands on Estime. Okay. So Estime at 3-9. Moving on to 3-10, round out this third round.
Yep. And after this pick, I'll recap the third round just let you guys know where we were at. Malachi Corley. So at the 3-1 position, we have Javon Baker, wide receiver out of UCF. At the 3-2, we have Jalen Wright, running back. At the 3-3, Ricky Pearsall, wide receiver. Auto drafted from Beachhead. 3-4, Braylon Allen, running back. At the 3-5, we have the QB out of Oregon, Bo Nix. Myself, I take the running back, Marshawn Lloyd, at the 3-6. Bucky Irving goes at the 3-7. Jatavian Sanders, the 3-8. Aldrick Estime, running back, 3-9. And we have Malachi Corley, wide receiver, 3-10. Ryan, you were on the clock to start the fourth.
Yep, this is going to round out my draft, which is great. I get the draft mock for 20 minutes and I'm done. But for me, I didn't think this guy was going to make it to me. I think a receiver that continues to get slept on. He would have definitely been gone if our boy Shoe Russell was in here. But Polk in the fourth round, to me, is a steal based off what I've seen on tape. Us, Chalmers and I, and Chew on our last podcast really dove deep into him on our last mock draft. So go back and watch that if you want a further breakdown. But despite him playing with a loaded offense and other great receivers on the team, Polk still stands out as a guy that can make some steps in the league.
Yeah. I won't say we, but I specifically dove more into Jalen Polk due to the article that Chew had put out about the Washington wide receiver room in general. Yeah. And it really made me look at it from another light. I was a big fan after reading that article, and he had produced a lot of solid content about Jalen Polk that a lot of us may miss. It's a lot of just small, minute things. And Jalen Polk is a player that also has risen up my boards. If you get him in the fourth round, that's a good pick.
Yeah. Yeah, and his counterpart, we all three go in this mock draft for Washington receivers, Jalen McMillan right behind. And then Spencer Rattler, also the 4-3, South Carolina quarterback.
I was going to say, there's no way I get sniped here, is there?
Oh, no. I think you're golden. Here's your boy.
Easy pick.
Never falters.
Never falters. Theo Johnson, tight end. We are Penn State. I've been on this guy, ever since he was a freshman at Penn State. Big fan of Theo. Athletic testing, 9.33 RAS score. I think the tight end position and how athletic it is and how it's changing is key. I think if he lands in the right situation and he gets good coaching around him, I think he can be an absolute monster.
Yeah, for sure. And then, hey, I'm not the only one to take Luke McCaffrey in these mock drafts. He goes to 4-7. I was actually really impressed with what he did in the combine. I was not expecting that, and he kind of showed out. I won't lie to you. Beat his own brother's time in 40.
I guess this is a question for me. I like the idea of Theo Johnson, but how long will you need to hold him to see if he learns to play tight end? It's a good question. When I answer this question, taxi squads are usually 2 years, and I think you're going to see enough of a flash in the pan to be able to make that correlation. These are fourth-round picks. These are supposed to be diamonds in the rough. They're not ever supposed to work out. I think the hit percentage on a fourth-round pick is less than 2%. So
really low.
Yeah, it's really low. So yes, I may love the player, but there's no correlation value to make me hold this guy long term if it's just not going to pan out. Yeah, athletically, he has tested really well. And I think that's a huge step into finding success for a tight end, because I think the tight end position is something you can learn on the fly in the NFL. Not everybody's Brock Bowers, guys.
Yeah.
That's what it is. So with that, you hold Theo for a year, maybe 2, and then you make your decision.
Yeah, he's also very landing spot dependent at the same time.
So totally fair, but absent a taxi, I worry more about the roster spot than the negligible draft capital.
Sure.
Okay. See, this is a fair point. I don't really play in leagues without taxi spots anymore, so that would be something new for me as well. Then maybe you need a 1-year evaluation on a fourth-round pick, and then and then you can reevaluate year to year with these guys. With my taxi spot, I'm willing to hold him for at least 2 so I can see if that flash in the pan happens that I'm looking for.
Yeah, would you consider, to his point, though, would you even consider taking Theo on your roster as a chance if there was no taxi squad to his point?
Yeah, I love the player.
Okay.
I won't back down from loving the player.
Yeah, to wrap out the final round, we had the remaining 2 Washington receivers go at the top, Jalen Polk and Jalen McMillan at the 4-1 and 4-2. Spencer Rattler to 4-3. We have Shaheem Bell go to the 4-4. Malik Washington 4-5. Theo Johnson, your boy, at the 4-6. Luke McCaffrey go to the 4-7. Joe Milton, another rare pick in these, goes 4-8. It was an auto pick, so that doesn't do much for us. Ray Davis at the 4-9 and Dylan Laube, however you say it. I'm sorry. Still haven't figured that out yet to wrap out the end of the 4th round.
As always, Ryan, before I close the board out, screenshots are vital.
Good. Takes 2 buttons. We're solid.
Appreciate it. So, again, we always ask this question for everybody that's in here as you break down this board. Ryan, my first question to you, is there any pick that stands out to you as a quote-unquote value pick?
Let me see. Listen. Give them the thumbs up.
Man, I'm glad you had a blast hanging out with us. We appreciate it, man. We love to have fun in these. It's been a blast.
I can't be with that horse more. I'm so impressed with Blake Corum the last 2 years. Honestly, I am. 2-8 feels like a good spot for him to go. I like to see him more towards the middle or front of the second round, if I'm being 100% honest with you. Like you said, after Xavier Worthy, I think there needs to be a good running back run. I think that's the time for that to happen. Brooks, Benson, and Corum should all be going around that area in my eyes, because Ladd is a great prospect. Odunze is a great prospect. But I think you look at the running back position as, if you can hit on it, you're doing a really good thing. I get they're more riskier than wide receivers. They fail quite a bit more often than receivers do. But it's also a premium. It's sad to say, but the running backs are getting to a premium position in fantasy football. There's far and few between. There's probably 7 or 8 off the top of my head I feel comfortable starting as my RB1.
Do you want me to answer that question?
Yeah.
I mean, I am the running back guy. I feel comfortable starting 7. 7's my number.
Yeah. I'm at that 7-8 mark.
8.
Yeah.
Because I forget about guys that historically I never thought would break out, like James Cook, that offer sneaky
Rashad White
value. White, guys like that. Then you have your running back 2s, who are the older vets that are always solid, that you can buy really cheap. But dynasty building blocks. Let's quote it like that. Dynasty building blocks.
I think the number gets lower.
I think that number is 7.
Yeah. But as far as you go, is there any real big value you see on this board? I think as we go, it gets a little bit tighter. So each one's gotten a little bit harder.
This board is relatively clean for having 2 auto drafters in the draft. So let's remember that we had 2 auto drafters in here. 2 guys that are regularly always here. So again, that's not normally a thing. But I believe the pick that stands out to me, especially, like, we play a lot of tight end premium, I think Jatavian Sanders at the 3-9 is a phenomenal pick.
3-8?
3-8, excuse me, 3-8.
Yeah, good. Yeah, no, and that's just another one of those things where, like, none of these guys are really, like, tight end premium minded. I think he probably goes a lot higher in actual drafts. My thing is, it's like, I don't know if I'm taking Jatavian Sanders. It's more like okay, it's time for me to actually get this guy on my roster and see what's going on.
No, I'm taking Theo in the 4th round. But I also like the pick at 3-3. I like Ricky Pearsall there.
Ricky Pearsall at 3-3? Yeah.
And then the run of running backs in the 3rd round, you know what I mean? Who knows what Braylon Allen's true draft capital is going to be? He's one of the most accomplished and accomplished Big Ten running backs in a while. He's a good running back. When we dove into his profile, there were things that obviously stand out as red flags, but he also has positives in his game. 3-4 for Braylon Allen, depending on the draft capital, could be a steal there as well.
Mm-hmm. I actually think Bo Nix at 3.5. Real life scenario could end up on a starting roster, depending on what Denver does. I think that's also a solid pick. Especially,
I'm not getting behind the fact that Denver's taking him at 12.
You can't say that. He's probably more like a second, third round guy if they're gonna go get a Bo Nix. I'd be severely surprised if Bo Nix ends up going in the first round. But nonetheless, Denver needs a quarterback, man. Straight up, they don't have anybody.
Yeah, so does Minnesota.
But I think Minnesota's probably moving up. If I had to guess, if they can. Big preface. But that being said, I think that wraps up mock draft number 6.
Yeah. I think we covered a lot of everything we wanted to cover here. I just want to point out another fact or another pick that I do like and that stood out to me. We didn't talk about it. I just now see it. Malik Washington in the 4th round.
Yeah.
4-5. That's a great pick by our man Jeff over there.
Yep.
Just want to throw that out there. Let me stop sharing my screen. We have to talk about our schedule coming up. We had another rookie profile, and I believe it was Trey Benson that we were going to cover next.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were going to have another rookie mock draft, obviously, as we're going to keep these going. Articles should be coming out right after the draft or before the draft.
Probably shooting for after, I would imagine. It's tough to say because you got to think, like, are people drafting the day after, or are they, you know what I mean? Like, are leagues really drafting straight up the day after? And I guess I could see a few doing it, so it might be smarter to do it before, even though it sounds lunacy to me to start a rookie mock draft the day after the NFL draft ends. But we'll still hash that out. Nonetheless, we also have a interview on Tuesday with a guy from RPO, our ex team. I hate saying that. I miss all the guys at RPO. We're gonna have one of the guys on there. Great guy. Super excited for the interview. We'll hold the name off until we announce it on Twitter, but I'm excited for this one coming up.
Yeah, me too. Good dude. Very good dude. So I'm excited for Tuesday. And I think that's going to about wrap it up. Guys, please do us a favor. If you enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed hanging out with us for 33 minutes, please like, comment, subscribe. Yards Per Fantasy, booming fantasy football content creation site. Awesome people to work with here. Also want to say, if you have any questions, it's a little bit of a downtime before the NFL draft. Our Twitters are below. You can reach us at Yards Per Fantasy as well. If you have any trade questions, any player profiles that you want done, any player evaluations of people that are in the league, anything, like any rankings.
Trade advice.
We're here for it. Trade advice. We're here for it.
Run it.
So we appreciate you guys hanging out. And that's all I got for you guys. And on that note, we are out.